Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to Mayor Murray, our great panel, and Tony Seba for his thought-provoking remarks on the future of self-driving vehicles. Driverless car technology is advancing so quickly, and it has real implications on downtowns. This week, I actually had a chance to test out one of these vehicles here in Seattle. And Tony is right. It's amazing what you can get done when you're not behind the wheel. Got a few cuts in the shaving. Well, it's been quite a year in downtown Seattle, and every day I'm humbled to have the opportunity to work with all of you, our incredible board, our talented team to create a healthy, vibrant downtown. I feel so fortunate to lead an organization that's at the center of so many important issues in a downtown that's envied across the nation. This morning, I want to highlight and celebrate the tremendous progress that has been made over the last year to increase the vibrancy of downtown, discuss what we see as our competitive advantages in this rapidly changing world, and speak to what is necessary to sustain our success. 2015 was a remarkable and record year in so many ways. We experienced record levels of residential development, the groundbreaking of what will be downtown's largest hotel, the sale of the county's property at 9th and Pine for the Convention Center addition. Expedia announced their move downtown. Nordstrom's flagship remodel took shape. The gum wall, it was cleaned for the first time in 20 years. And Bertha. 2016 is going to be a great, great year for Bertha. We saw spaces and places reshaped and remade. Westlake and Occidental Parks were transformed into bustling, vibrant public spaces that were welcoming to everyone. Thanks to the partnership with the city, the Alliance for Pioneer Square, the Seattle Parks Foundation, and Friends of Waterfront Seattle, we created welcoming, active spaces with regular programming and amenities. Sometimes we had too much programming. I was in Westlake Park on a Sunday this August with my son Parker. At one end of the park, we had KXP set up with a DJ. At the other end of the park, we had a swing band. If you stood right in the middle, it sounded super funky. Nobody seemed to mind. We all had a great time. As we pause to assess the state of our downtown, we see downtowns across the country in strong positions. Consider that since the end of the recession, downtowns in 40 of the 41 largest metro areas in the nation have outpaced their suburbs in job growth. Workers and employers are demonstrating a strong preference, not just to be in cities, but to be in the core of cities, in the downtown. As we experience this urban renaissance, both locally and nationally, it's important to reflect on how downtowns have evolved over the last 50 years and remind ourselves of the fragility of urban places and what it takes to make and keep them great. Even in this time of tremendous prosperity, we can never take anything for granted. Development patterns, trends, preferences, and markets are constantly in motion. We heard that from Tony today. We look back on our own history to the 1950s in Seattle. The Northgate Mall had just opened. It was one of the first indoor malls in America, and it represented new competition for retail in downtown Seattle. No longer was downtown the only shopping destination in town. Development of other suburban malls followed in this region and across the country. This new competition for downtowns wasn't just limited to retail. The first office park opened in 1955 in Alabama, and others followed. And of course, the evolution of the highway system and the automobile age transformed the competitive landscape and development patterns across our region and country. This increasing competition created an impetus in 1958 for 24 local business leaders to come together and form the Central Association of Seattle, later renamed the Downtown Seattle Association. The Alaskan Way Viaduct had just been built, and it went right by downtown with no on or off ramps. So one of the first orders of business for the organization was to lobby for the construction of the Seneca and Columbia ramps. And in the 1960s, the city of Seattle funded the completion of those ramps so that downtown was accessible in the auto age. The Central Association went on to influence and shape this place and form partnerships between public and private sector leaders over those many decades that has led to the vibrancy we enjoy today and attracted billions of dollars in investment. I want to fast forward and take a closer look at the progress over the last year. In measuring the health of downtown, we pay closest attention to population, employment, taxable retail sales, and sales in arts, entertainment, food, and beverage. There are lots of important things to measure in a downtown, but we believe these four metrics, live, work, shop, and play, are central to making progress on our mission. Downtown is the fastest growing neighborhood in one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Our population growth continues to outpace the growth in the region and the city. Since 2012, downtown has grown by 12%, and today 67,000 people, 1 in 10 Seattleites, lives downtown. And 1 in every 3 dogs in Seattle lives downtown, it seems, from riding the elevator in my building each morning. Nothing against dogs, I don't want to offend the animal lovers, I used to have one myself. I love them. There are more residential units under construction today than at the height of the previous development cycle in 2007. Today, 48 projects are under construction, totaling $4 billion of investment. This is 18% more than in 2014 and 35% more than at the height of the last development cycle. This year, Cornish College opened new student housing in the Denny Triangle. Cornish, thank you. That does not look like any dorm I ever lived in. We all should have majored in the arts, apparently. Job growth in downtown continues to outpace growth in the region. Downtown added nearly 30,000 jobs since 2010, an increase of 14%. Our job growth continues to outpace the state and nation. Since 2010, downtown Seattle's seen net office occupancy increase by 9 million square feet. This represents more than half the new office space in the Puget Sound region. Seattle has more office space under construction relative to our existing building stock than any other city in the country. 2.3 million square feet was delivered in 2015, including the first of Amazon's new towers between 6th and 7th Avenues. Nationally, the preference for downtown office locations remains strong. The current vacancy for suburban office space is 15%, and it's just 10% in downtowns. Locally, the increase in co-working spaces was a big story in 2015. There are now more than 10 co-working spaces in downtown, and more will open this year. Downtown's retail performance has been exceptional. Since 2010, retail sales have increased by 23%, beating all major cities in the region. More than 40 new retailers opened in downtown in the last year, including Do the Extraordinary, an independent retailer recruited by our team to Seattle. They produce all their merchandise right around the corner at 6th and Olive. And I don't know if you've been into the store yet or not, but they make a very cool fashion accessory called a snood. Do you know about this? It's a combination scarf and hood. Let me show you. Let me show you how this works. And this is just absolutely perfect for cool winter days in downtown. Or perhaps you're in Westlake Park and it's drizzling, it's damp, it's February, and you're playing a game of ping pong. Or you're in Westlake Park playing foosball, and you do not want your range of motion to be hindered by a bulky jacket. The snood is the perfect accessory for the active urban professional. Ladies and gentlemen, the snood from Do the Extraordinary. And congratulations to Filson. Congratulations to Filson on the opening of their incredible new retail store on First Avenue. Yes, and I think Gray Madden, their CEO, is here, so congratulations, Gray. Our local 100-plus-year-old manufacturer and retailer has plans for 10 additional stores across the U.S. Filson. Baby & Company, the wonderful women's clothier. I don't have any props for this one. I have a line, and that's it. Okay, so Baby & Company, celebrating their 40th anniversary in downtown at the corner of First and Virginia. Now I feel like my hair's all messed up. Street-level retail has been the cornerstone of a great downtown experience, keeping storefronts and sidewalks active. Nationally, brick-and-mortar retail is facing some strong headwinds, and some complex market conditions. And so it's critical that we continue to support our shops and store owners downtown who have been so critical to creating a healthy, vibrant urban experience. Apparently, we all had a really good time in 2015. Our play metric was way up. We measure taxable sales in arts, entertainment, sports, and food and beverage. Since 2010, we've seen an increase of 30% in spending in these categories, beating the county growth rate. The restaurant scene was huge in 2015. Something like 8,000 new restaurants opened downtown. And I think half of those were in Pioneer Square. Since I started this speech, 10 new restaurants opened downtown. The opening of urban wineries, tasting rooms, and wine bars was a big story this year. Mr. West, Hand of God, and Estates Wine Room all opened. And this proliferation of wine in downtown comes at a great time. A recent study caught my eye. It found that drinking 1 glass of wine equals going to the gym for 1 hour. You laugh, but the headline's right there. That's a reputable news source, I'm sure. And so I know what you're thinking. It's exactly what I thought when I first read this. So if 1 glass of wine equals going to the gym for 1 hour, 3 glasses of wine, you see where I'm going here. Speaking of gyms, we like to pay close attention to the gym to bar ratio in downtown Seattle. The gym to bar ratio is very important, but I'm not talking about that bar, I'm talking about that bar. We strive for a good balance here. So let's take a look at how we did this year in the growth of gyms compared to the growth of bars. Gyms are catching up, very interesting. Hit your local gym, everybody, and your local bar. Strong performance in the areas of live, work, shop, and play are creating a healthy and vibrant urban core. We're moving toward a 24-hour downtown. This remarkable economic performance in these 4 square miles matters to our entire region and city. Consider that in a single year, downtown generated more than $1.4 billion in state and local taxes, nearly half of that directly to the city of Seattle. As we witness this rapid pace of change in downtown and across the world, we see 3 competitive advantages that urban places share, which position us favorably for continued growth and investment. The adaptability and flexibility of infrastructure and spaces in downtown is a major advantage in the 21st century. Our ability to reuse and repurpose buildings, parks, sidewalks, and plazas to serve new users and uses allows us to minimize new infrastructure costs, protect our natural environment, and limit the need for new resources. We saw incredible examples of this in downtown this year. The Pacific Commercial Building will soon welcome to its basement an indoor mini golf bar with room for 400. We began work on the renovation of the Publix Hotel into apartments and commercial space. Meeting rooms at Seattle Center were transformed into a new home for KEXP. A former car dealership is now the must-visit coffee experience in town. Thank you, Liz. Lusty Lady. I'm not going to explain the prior use of this building. I think we're all familiar. I don't mean it that way. But actually, this building has had a number of uses in its 100-plus year history, from a hotel to a bar to a community space to meeting rooms. There was even a shooting range there. Soon it will change. Get that? See that? Change. Pick that up. Change into a boutique hotel. Our ability to adapt and repurpose buildings and spaces is an advantage and something to celebrate. Secondly, we believe a core competitive advantages of downtowns is the authenticity of the experience, particularly in a time where the experience matters more than ever. Great downtowns are full of experiences that can't be replicated, from civic gathering, arts and culture, parades, music, and traditions. Sam's Remix is the hottest ticket in town. At Chihuly Garden and Glass, they're now hosting yoga classes. And our great local retailers have made major upgrades to enhance the customer experience in their stores. This week, Visit Seattle and hotel partners kicked off Museum Month, which is generating national press for this creative campaign to bring more people to Seattle to enjoy our arts, culture, and history. From the big to the small, there's a strong desire to be part of an authentic urban experience. Think of the gum wall at Pike Place Market. It came about naturally in the 1990s because theatergoers started putting their gum on the wall, and there's nothing anybody could do to stop them. Today, millions visit the market and wander down Post Alley to have a look. It's a uniquely urban experience that has a connection to a specific place. And you can't replicate this experience just anywhere. You could try, I guess, but here's what it would probably look like. And as soon as you put your gum up on the wall, that mall security guard would come haul you away. The experience is becoming more important to the consumer. It's projected that over the next 5 years, consumer spending on non-essentials like dining and vacations are expected to grow by 27%, beating all other categories of spending. Pick up any advertising publication, and you'll no doubt read about the growing preference for experiences and how we spend our time and our money. There's a major desire to do cool things in cool places so that you can then brag about it on Facebook to all your friends. We all do this. And think about it. On Facebook, you are much more likely to see this status update. OMG, I'm sitting in the front row at the Adele show, wish you were here, hashtag helloitsme. You're much more likely to see that one than you are to see this one. Check out the sweet new couch I just bought. You don't see that a lot on Facebook. The experience matters to how we establish social connections and express our identity. And downtowns that are rich with art, culture, dining, and unique retail experiences stand to gain from these shifts in preferences. Technology and innovation is having a profound impact on downtowns, as we've heard this morning. Technology is improving how we access and experience urban places. And the application of technology, particularly in dense environments, is creating possibilities we could not have imagined just a decade ago. And the concentration of people working in downtowns is accelerating the pace of technology and innovation. Uber, Lyft, Car2Go, Lux, and Zipcar have changed the way we access and move around downtown. 5 years ago, few of these companies existed. Today, Uber is the most valuable private company in the world. BMW will launch a new car-sharing service in downtown and across Seattle later this year. In New York City, thousands of old payphones are being repurposed into super fast Wi-Fi hotspots, following a city-sponsored technology competition. Back home, excess energy from a Clice Properties data center will be used to heat Amazon's office buildings across the street on 6th Avenue. We've just scratched the surface on what is possible at the nexus of density, innovation, and rapidly advancing technology. This convergence is changing the way we live, move around, share resources, and experience cities. And this is especially unique to downtowns, and it's a competitive advantage for us in the 21st century. Today, in downtown Seattle, there is so much momentum in our favor, so much progress to celebrate. The pace of change is significant. The challenges we face today are largely driven by our successes. Together, we've created a place in high demand, going through rapid change. We're welcoming new customers, new visitors, workers, and residents who are coming here with new expectations for how they'll get around, what their housing and office options should be, and a desire for authentic experiences and quality public space. And unlike the 1950s and 60s, our competition today is less with the suburbs than it is with cities and downtowns across the world. Seattle is embracing an urban future. Our competition is with other urban places. And we believe, going forward, there are two things we must get right to continue our prosperity and create more opportunity. We must develop a long-range vision for downtown's transportation system and our public realm. When it comes to transportation and public space, downtown has lacked a comprehensive plan for how we make decisions and invest in projects. We've gotten by with incrementalism. A plaza here, a bike lane there, a new bus route over there. We must be intentional and bold. There's no doubt that great projects have been built in downtown, but they haven't been guided by a vision. With the current pace of growth and the rapidly advancing technology space, we can't afford to continue to plan project by project, year by year, or mode by mode. We must look long-term in designing a blueprint for how downtown's transportation system and public realm will keep downtown accessible, attractive, and inviting. So this year, we've partnered with Mayor Murray, Executive Dale Constantine, and Sound Transit to invest in the largest ever effort to develop a public realm and transportation vision for downtown Seattle. This effort will ensure that we prioritize the right investments in our parks, pedestrian realm, and transit system to increase the vibrancy of downtown. We'll be asking for all your input as this work begins later next month. Seattle has succeeded in building market rate housing and affordable housing. Unlike most cities, we've had a housing levy in place since the 1980s. We have a strong nonprofit housing community in Seattle and other programs that have created thousands of units of low-income and workforce housing. We've made decisions over the last year to rezone areas of downtown to increase housing density. Years of forethought have put us in a much stronger position than many other cities. But looking forward, these efforts will not be sufficient. Our current course and speed will not create enough housing to meet the demand there is to be in Seattle. This year, we worked with diverse stakeholders, led by Mayor Murray, to agree to a plan to produce 50,000 market rate and affordable units over the next 10 years. It's a major lift. It's never been done in Seattle's history. And this will require all of our involvement and support. At the ballot, where we need to double the housing levy later this year, as the mayor mentioned. In Olympia, where we need to reform certain state laws. And in the community, where we need to make sure that the message is heard loud and clear that the front door of a great city is always open. Together, we will create more opportunities for our employees, our colleagues, our kids, and those who simply need a safe place to sleep at night to live in this great city and take part in its prosperity. As we consider the work ahead, we must continue to be intentional and purposeful in stewarding this downtown. We can't put this vibrancy and progress on autopilot. There's no self-driving downtown. We must continue to be the drivers and to strengthen partnerships between the public and private sector, which have been so critical to shaping our downtown. At DSA, we believe a great city is always being made. And I very much look forward to our continued work ahead to create a healthy, vibrant downtown. Thank you.